more like a representative of some off-site cat charity who's dropping by to pick up contributions. Wanting a dog started early for me, but my mother was afraid of dogs, and she threatened to stand on a chair squealing and flapping her skirt if we ever brought one home. Consequently, we remained dogless, and I suffered. At regular intervals, I offered, or more precisely begged, to walk the neighbors' dogs. But we lived in the suburbs, and most dogs had roomy yards and weren't in need of walking. On Sundays, I read the pet section in the classifieds as if it were a love letter, circling ads and showing them to my parents. My father would say, "Ask your mother." My mother would shudder and say, "What would I do with a dog?" At last, though, my brother and sister and I wore her down. We devised a marketing strategy. We had come across an ad for black and white Scotch that featured a pair of adorable dogs, an ink-black Scottie, handsome and sharp-looking, and a West Highland white terrier with a merry face and the cleanest, brightest fur in the world. Since my mother's dread of dogs included fear that a dog would spread a haze of permanent dirtiness throughout our house, we thought the dazzle of the Westie's whiteness might do the trick. And it did. We ended up with a Westie puppy in a matter of days. I loved our Westie, but to be honest, I had set my heart on a German Shepherd since I'd imprinted early on The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin, and like most of the world, I wanted a dog just like the star of the show. But I was thrilled to have a dog of any sort. Around that same time, I also got a mouse as a gift from a classmate, a boy with a permanently runny nose and pockets overflowing with twigs and rocks and leaves. How I convinced my mother to allow me to keep the gift mouse, I'll never know. The little creature was a beautiful butterscotch color, with soft white feet and ruby red eyes. I named her Sparky and pretended that she was some kind of championship show mouse, and I made a bunch of fake ribbons and trophies for her, and I told people she had won them at mouse shows. You might think that with my champion mouse and my clean white Westie, I would have been satisfied, but I still felt I had animal work to do. I didn't have a pony yet, for instance. I began campaigning for one unsuccessfully. In the meantime, one afternoon, I took Sparky over to my classmate's house so she could have a play date with his mouse. The next thing I knew, Sparky built a nest in her cage and populated it with 5 baby mice, which were small enough to waltz right out of the cage without even brushing the bars. When my mother saw one of Sparky's babies skittering across the kitchen floor and disappearing under the dishwasher, she really did jump on a chair, squealing and flapping her skirt. I had crossed the line. There would be no more animals added to my collection while I was still living at home. As soon as I got to college, I decided I wanted a boyfriend and a dog. I knew having a dog while in college was crazy. I had a wild schedule in a rented apartment and no idea of where I would be after I graduated. Life conditions that don't bode well for pet ownership. But now that I was away from home and away from our family dog, I missed having a pet. Plus, it seemed like all of my friends in Ann Arbor had dogs. As for the kind of dog I wanted, my tastes had changed. Rather than a German Shepherd, I wanted an Irish Setter. I didn't know any Irish Setters personally, but I used to moon over another liquor ad. I think it was for Irish whiskey, featuring a man and woman in Kelly green trench coats, walking a pair of leggy red-haired dogs. I was a not-so-leggy red-haired person, and the dogs, with their elegant, anxious faces and hair that matched mine, seemed like the perfect companions for me.